And hopefully at the end of the presentation, we'll be able to entertain any questions you might have. And so I'm going to be inviting you to come to Guatemala to be a part of the work. And I'm going to ask for a show of hands at times to see if you'll come. And if I don't get a volunteer, I'll just extend the report until I get 3 or 4 people to volunteer. So we might not get out. You might not even have to preach this morning, okay? Okay, yeah, because I'll just go in the report until I get some people to come to Guatemala. But let's go to Guatemala via PowerPoint and show you how the Lord has blessed the Lord's work there. We're right outside of, right below Mexico, the very first country that you come into, Central America. And we're one of the 8 Central American countries. We're a small country, land-wise about the size of the state of Tennessee. People-wise, we've got about 19 million people or so in the country. And our language is Spanish, hablamos español allá. But then we have a large concentration of the Maya Indians. And they have another 22 different dialects that they speak. And so we cannot communicate with the Mayas who do not speak Spanish, but you can use the children in order to communicate there. But so it's a lot of, a small country, but a lot of variety there in our country. This is kind of showing you where we are. We're right outside of Guatemala City in a place called Villanueva. And we've had an opportunity to raise several churches there in Guatemala up in the northern part. This right here, very few people live there. You're familiar, you probably heard of the Maya ruins, okay, the Maya Indian ruins, okay. That's where all of their temples and all that stuff like that, so it's very touristy. Right in this area right here would be Belize, and so very few people there. But in a place called Alta Verde Paz, we've had an opportunity to raise 4 congregations, Coban, Las Pacayas, Santa Cruz, and San Cristobal. All 4 of those are still going with the exception of Santa Cruz. After COVID hit, Santa Cruz never opened their doors again. They tried, but never could get the new members to come back. So, but the 3 works, the other 3 works are still going good. And then, of course, us down in the Guatemala City area. Linda Vista is where we work, our membership on a full-time basis. And if you remember the last time we were here, it's been a little bit over a year ago, we told you about a problem that we were going through. And our preacher's brother, his 2 brothers had gotten into an altercation, if you remember, with some gang members. As a result of that, the gang members threatened the whole family. Everybody, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, everybody had to leave Linda Vista area because the gang said they would kill them. Okay, Walter, our preacher, his brothers got involved with that, so he had to leave Linda Vista. And he was living in another area, but then still kind of working remotely with us. We had asked for prayers when we were here last that they would be able to get some things worked out. They did not. They did not get the things worked out. He decided to come back to Linda Vista, but on the Sunday that he decided to come back, he got word that the gangs were waiting on him. And so finally, he resigned from Linda Vista. These pictures you're seeing here, that's February the 25th of last year, Brother Walter's last Sunday with us. And he was not able to come back into Linda Vista, so we rented a campground and all that stuff like that and went and had his final worship service there with us. After all was said and done, the government, the United States government, they offered them asylum in the States. And so Walter was praying whether or not to apply for the asylum. He applied for the asylum and was accepted. So last month, Walter and his family, they moved to North Carolina. So they're in Greensboro, I think it is, North Carolina. So keep Walter, his family in your prayers, but keep Linda Vista in your prayers, because this was the first time that we had a preacher at Linda Vista that was full-time and paid out of the Linda Vista treasury, which is something unheard of in Guatemala. And so we're now in the process of looking for a new preacher. Keep us in your prayers there. Of course, we got a preacher school, so we got several people to choose from. But the Linda Vista family is moving along. After Walter finally resigned, and then after Walter left, the congregation realized we're without a preacher. So therefore, a lot of the men started stepping up to the plate, and there's one of our Sunday school classes. Brother Juan de Dios is teaching that class. Since then, we've started our teen class back, and then Byron and I, we teach the new converts class. So please keep Linda Vista in your prayers as we're going through this preacher search and all the things like that right now. We have a lectureship every year. We had one 2024, and that was March the 21st to the 24th. And that's an opportunity where people can come to Guatemala. If you want to kind of just get your feet wet for Guatemala, coming to the lectureship is a way to do that. You're only there for like 4 days or so. And we start off on Thursday with a banquet. And then we have several speakers. We had several good speakers this year. We had Brother Hubbard, he's the minister of our overseeing congregation. Denny Petrillo is with Bear Valley Bible Institute out of Denver. And so we had men of that caliber there to preach for the lectureship. We also had several ladies who taught our ladies, and some of these are our graduates, and we were glad to see them and see them grow. They're doing their work for the Lord. You might remember Snashana. They were with me last year, and normally Snashana speaks in Spanish. But on this day, she's doing her lesson in English because we had so many English speakers there, and Dulcie is translating for her. So, here's your first invitation, and that's March the 27th through the 31st. We're going to be having our 15th annual lectureship, but Byron and I are also going to be celebrating our 25th anniversary there in Guatemala. So we would like to see some of you come down and celebrate with us, okay? Now, we've tried this before on our 20th anniversary in Guatemala. Yeah, they had a lot of things planned. We had about 60 people coming from the United States, and that was in March of 2020. Remember that month? Yeah, that was the best month of our life, okay? And so none of us will ever forget that month, okay? But it didn't happen, but Lord willing, March the 27th through the 31st, this is your opportunity to come to Guatemala for the lectureship. Everything's in English and in Spanish, so you're not going to miss a beat, and you're going to have an opportunity to celebrate with us for our anniversary. So, how many of you will come in March to our lectureship and anniversary? Just cut down 1 point off your lesson, okay? All right, here we go. Okay, because I'm going to keep going until I get some people to come to Guatemala. All right. No, okay, so that is, mark this on your calendar if you can possibly come be with us. We have a Future Preachers Camp. Most of you are familiar with that. But our girls, and that's for boys, our girls were always asking us, when are you going to do something for the girls? Well, this past year we did. We had our first girls' camp. And it was called Light Barriers Girls Camp, May the 31st through June the 2nd. This lady right here, this is Terry Autry and her 2 daughters. They're from Denver. Well, they go to different places in the world and do these girls' camps. So they agreed to come to Guatemala and help our ladies with the first camp, rented a campground and all. And they had 43 young ladies to sign up for the camp. And so this is an opportunity to work with these young ladies, help them grow in their spiritual walk, and just doing various things at the camp. And so here they are right here, and with Terry, Snashana, and several of the ladies of Guatemala working with them. They have various activities. Now, they do things that the guys, when we have our camp, we play soccer and football and basketball. I mean, they file their nails and curl hair and they do stuff like that, But they had a good time and a scavenger hunt and all the stuff like that. And then on Sunday, they had a closure on Sunday afternoon, but on Sunday morning, Linda Vista rented a bus and brought the whole congregation to the campground. And we closed out the worship with them, with the men leading the worship service and all. And so these are the ladies who worked with the camp. And Lord willing, we're waiting right now for them to decide what the government is going to do with the school schedule. And then from there, they're going to be able to set a date for our next girls' camp for 2025. So they're the young ladies and their teachers, their counselors. I think everybody's picture there except the cooks And but they did a good job there. And then one young lady that we had been working with for quite a while, and her name is Raina. Well, after the camp was over, she decided she wanted to obey the gospel. So we went to the Linda Vista Church building, and she was immersed into Christ there. And she's in Escuintla, and we're trying to raise a work in Escuintla right now. And we have like 4 or 5 members there. But then Raina is doing really good, so keep her in your prayers. We have mission teams to come. And that's another way you can come to Guatemala if you want to come to Guatemala for about 10 days or so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through real quickly 10 days of a mission team. And you can kind of see what they do. We had one to come last year in June. They come every other year in June. And so they're from the Linda Road congregation out of Meridian, Idaho. And they were there June the 13th through the 22nd. Normally on a mission team, if we have 15 people on the team, we consider that a pretty good sized team, okay? But they actually had 27 people on their team. So here they are pictured in front of the National Palace. So you would normally come in on a Thursday. Thursday night, you just relax. Friday's a day of relaxation as well. We take you out to see some of the sites, and that's where they are right now. They're at the National Palace in Zone 1. They went to some other areas there. Friday nights, you'll normally come in my home where we'll have a dinner together, and we'll invite about 30 or 40 of the members from Linda Vista, so you get an opportunity to mingle and to relax with some of the members. Saturday and Sunday, you're going to be involved in some type of mission teamwork on that weekend with the church. Sometimes it's just with Linda Vista. Sometimes it's with other congregations of the area. They did a small seminar for us, and this is Brother Art Clark. He's one of the elders there at Linda Road. His wife, Sister Vicky, and he's speaking to the men. She's speaking to the ladies. We had a teen class and several classes that weekend, so that went very well. On Sunday, you'll be involved in a full-blown bilingual worship service. Everything's in English, everything's in Spanish. And so the preaching, the lessons, all of the Bible reading and all the stuff will be in both languages, and so you'll enjoy doing that. Ladies, you have an opportunity to use your talents as well, and they actually come very well prepared to teach our children. And they taught the children for the lectureship on, well, not the lectureship, the small seminar on Saturday. They taught them for Bible class on Sunday. Then they taught them again on Wednesday night. So they were very well prepared for that. This last year, we had another opportunity open for us, and that's in a nursing home. I did not even know nursing homes existed in Guatemala until we run across this nursing home. They invited us in, and then they invited us to be able to bring teams in to help them out. And so this was the very first time to be able to go into that nursing home. And now the nursing home has actually opened the door where we can come in and do counseling and do Bible studies and things like that. Keep us in your prayers with this new opportunity that we have. Now, this gentleman here, Don, Mr. Don in Spanish, Rodolfo, he actually, after we had finished doing a short devotional, singing some songs and presenting some things to the nursing home, he stood up and said, "I've got something to say." Of course, all that's in Spanish. So once he stood up, Byron jumps up because Byron's going to now translate for all of our English speakers that we have there. Well, he started all his speech in English. Yeah. So then Byron's standing there looking at him kind of like, so then Byron starts translating in Spanish so all the people in Spanish could understand what was going on. But he spoke for about 15 minutes or so, but after he finished, I mean, some people were crying because his speech was so touching, but to just sum it up, he said, "You just don't know who you are." He said, "You're God's hands, you're God's feet." And said, "He has sent you here to take care of some people that's been neglected." And so really, really special. And so we're looking forward to, Lord willing, working a little bit more with the nursing home. So that's up until Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes part of Thursday, you'll be involved in some type of hands-on project, okay? This team chose to paint, we were going to work in a public school, and they were going to paint the big wall in front of the school. Unfortunately, the weather did not cooperate. It rained just about the whole time they were there, so they were not able to get a lot of painting done. The other part of the team went and worked in one of our members' homes, and they were able to get a little bit more done, putting on a roof and putting in a floor and things like that. And then on Wednesday night, they taught classes. Thursday, they visited into some of the members' homes. Thursday night, you'll have a going away. And then on Friday, you'll get to go out again on an excursion and see some of the sights of Guatemala. And then on Saturday, you'll have an opportunity to return back to your home here in the States. The July team came as well. I'm not going to ask for volunteers right now. I'm going to finish the July portion, and then I'll ask for volunteers. Okay, that'll give you a little bit more time to get ready to say yes. Okay, all right. So our July team, they were there. They come every July, the first Thursday after the 4th of July. So they were there July the 11th through the 20th, and they had 16 on this team. 4 of them, excuse me, 4 of them were from Indianapolis, Indiana. 1 of them was from Missouri, and the rest of them was from, they were from a little small town called Blackwater, Macedonia, Alabama. And so, but they had a very good team. On Saturday and Sunday, they did the same thing. They come in on Thursday. Friday was excursion day. Saturday and Sunday, they did a seminar for us, and their seminar was entitled The Charismatic Movement and the Bible. Charismatic movement is very big, very strong in Guatemala. And we had a lot of visitors, more visitors than we thought we would have. And they came to hear this seminar. One young lady who was very, very involved in one of the charismatic movements there. In fact, the congregation where she was involved, they claim to have about 60,000 members. Okay? And so, but then after she heard these lessons, she said, I don't think I'm in the right place. So she started studying with us, started studying with her cousins and all, and her name was Dearly, and you'll hear a little bit more about Dearly in just a little bit. But then they did the seminar, and on Sunday, a bilingual worship service again for this team, and classes for the men, for the ladies, for the teens. We went back to the nursing home, and guess who stood up? The same gentleman stood up and said, I've got something to say, but this time Byron didn't stand up, okay? Because Byron knew what he was going to do. And so he started speaking in English. Byron translated from his seat. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they did hands-on projects as well. They followed up on what the first team did not complete. And so since the first team was not able to paint the wall, they did go back to the school. And you can see that is not a small wall. Okay, but they were able to pretty much get the work done. Do you all remember Alex and Jose from last year? Byron's 2 boys, 11 years old and 12 years old. And so you can see them working as well, but you can see them doing a lot of work on the wall. And the wall is completed. And so, and that's just part of it. The wall actually goes way back off into there. But they did a good job. Now, members from Linda Vista and us, we do the top portion of the wall because you have to see the scaffolding in Guatemala to understand that, okay? It's like this wide, and they do about 4 levels of it. So the person up on top, you don't really have to move the paint because the scaffolding moves you. Yeah. So you just stand up there at the brush, and you're going to go from side to side. So we don't let visitors get up on the scaffolding, okay? Only the members of Linda Vista can do that because we don't want to get our members hurt. But Linda Vista, before we did the remodeling on our building, we had a fuse box in the back. And here's how you turned on all the lights in the building. You walked in and you hooked up 2 cables and all the lights came on. But we had a rule that only Christians could do that. Okay, if you were not a Christian and you were visiting with us, we did not allow you to turn on the lights, okay? But once you were baptized, you got that privilege of turning on the lights. And so here, we don't let you get on the scaffolding unless you are a member at Linda Vista. They also went back and this part of the team worked in that member's home again, and they were able to put new tin up, finish up the floor, finish up a sidewalk and all, and so finish up some steps and all. That went well for them. On Thursday, they had an opportunity to visit into some of our members' homes. This is Sister Yolanda. Sister Yolanda has been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And so she's not able to get out. Every now and then she's able to come to worship. But about 9 of the ladies or so went to visit with her at her request. And every time we go to visit Sister Yolanda, you go there to encourage her, but you always leave very encouraged because her spirit's very, very high. The other part of the team visited into another member's home. They had their going away on Thursday night. And then on Friday, we took them to Antigua, and they were able to spend the day there doing some sightseeing. And this is actually us honoring the members at Linda Vista after both teams had left, because it takes a whole lot of work to prepare for these teams. And Linda Vista, they really do a good job of making everybody feel welcome, feeding them, and doing all the stuff like that. And so we have another team coming this year in July. They're coming July the 10th through the 19th. And so as I told you, the June team, they come every other year. July team, they come every year. So, how many of you will come in July for the 10-day July team? Okay, don't answer that. I'm going to let you surprise me. Yeah, I'll just let you surprise me when I see you show up in Guatemala in July. But seriously, July the 10th through the 19th. World English Institute. How many of you speak English? Not many of you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, I'm giving a report. I can give it in Spanish if I need to. Okay, now, this is a way you can actually come to Guatemala. You can use your native tongue to teach the gospel. And you are actually helping people perfect their English, but you're doing it using the Bible. World English Institute is an organization of the Church of Christ, and they're on every continent of the world doing this very thing. We have teams to come in August, but we also have a couple that comes in either January or February, and that's Blaine and Terry Anderson. They're more like freelancers. They meet their students in various places, coffee shops, restaurants, ice cream shops, and things like that. But then what they're doing is they're actually helping them with their English, but they're actually helping them using the Bible. So they're actually teaching them the gospel at the same time. So Blaine and Terry, they're going to be coming February the 8th through the 24th. So if you're more like the freelance side type of person and just like to kind of go to a lot of different areas, traveling with Blaine and Terry would be something for you. We have teams to come, more formal teams, in August. The first 2 weeks of August, the second 2 weeks of August, we had our first team. We had 6 members, and in fact, 2 of the members here. This is Anna Pride and Donna, and both of them are from a place I think it's called Laverne, Tennessee. It's close to here. They're both from there, and Anna she's actually the coordinator of the team. Then they had a lady from Connecticut. He's from Wyoming, from Texas. And so I always tell people, if you want to see something funny, you need to come and see somebody from Tennessee and somebody from Connecticut, and they're both teaching English, okay? That's a sight to see. That is a sight to see. But they do a very good job. You actually stay at a hotel. The very same hotel that you stay in is where you have your classes. It's normally 1 student to 1 teacher. WEI, they have some very professionally done workbooks. Your main textbook is the Bible. You're teaching them adverbs, verbs, and all the stuff like that, but you're actually walking them through the scheme of redemption. And they know that you're a Christian. They know the Bible is the main textbook. They know you're going to be sharing your faith, so none of this is where you're trying to, fool them or something, but they know that you're going to be teaching them the Bible. And so that's the kind of the setup that we have. We had a second team to come, 4 of them from Lubbock, Texas, and 2 of them from Wyoming. And they pretty much did the same thing of having 1 student, 1 teacher. You have 7 students a day. Your schedule normally runs 9 to 12. You have 3 students, 1 hour for each student. From 12 to 3 o'clock, you take a lunch break. And then from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock, you have 4 more students. And so they do a very good job. Last year, last year, they got to see some fruit from their labor. This is Chris. And Chris had been studying with the first group. And then after a few days with the second group, she came in and she said, if what we're studying is correct and what I'm seeing from the Bible, I'm not a Christian. And said, I need to obey the gospel, because at that point, they were already studying English, but they were studying about the church and how to become a member of the church. They had already talked about the coming king and what the king requires of you. And now she comes in and she says, I need to be baptized. And so Carly was her teacher. And so Carly said, what do you want to do? And she says, everything I've seen in the Bible, they do it right then. And said, I want to become a Christian. And so we actually took her down to the hotel. In fact, when somebody comes to that point, what we will do is either myself, Byron, or Snashana will step in and we'll actually study with them some in Spanish to make sure that they're understanding everything. And she understood everything. And we went down and baptized her, and so she's now your new sister in Christ, and keep her in your prayers. Her family's not too happy with that, okay? And so, but yet she's still struggling along and going well, so keep Chris in your prayers. Normally, after the team leaves, the program drops off until the next year, whenever the teachers come back, even though we offer each year to do follow-up. We offered the same this year. Just before the teachers left, we already had more than we could handle that had signed up to follow up, and that's what we've been doing. Even when we've been traveling, we've been doing online studies with these English students. Especially I'm studying with one of my students is Fernando Daniel, and his wife and the rest of the family, they're all very, very, very devout Jehovah's Witnesses. And he's been going to the Jehovah's Witness church, but he started studying with us. Once his wife found out we were a religious group, she told him she didn't want to have anything to do with us, okay? And so he said, okay, but she said, you can study with them if you want. So he's been studying with us. But my last 2 studies with Fernando, his wife sit in on both studies, okay? Very nice, very sweet lady. They have an 11-year-old son. So I think Fernando is close to obeying the gospel. So please keep that situation in your prayers. Snajana, she has her hands full as well with several follow-up students. And so these are some of her students. This is Dearly that I told you about earlier. She continues after the lectureship of the charismatic movement. She started studying English with us as well as having Bible studies. So there's Chris again. She's continuing with her studies. But please keep WEI students in your prayers. So Lord willing, they're coming again in August of 2025 if anybody would like to join one of those teams. And we have a preacher school, and we work with Bear Valley Bible International out of Denver. We have 2 programs, full-time program and a Saturday program. And the Saturday program is where members of the church, men and women, can come to school, enhance their Bible knowledge. We have a goal of having 15 students in that program. It's a 3-year program, and at the end of it, they get a certificate of study. We have a 2-year from where we're an extension school of Bear Valley. You can see on one side what we offer. You can see on the other side what it takes to be a student there. Our goal is to have 10 students in this program. Here's our staff, our full-time staff. And then right now, we hadn't updated this because there's been a change over the last few days. And I'm going to ask you to keep, we had 4 students. One of our students decided to leave, and that's Danielle. Danielle is only 18 years old, and he went home on Christmas break. And his mother and father are divorced, or not divorced, they're separated, okay? But his father lives a lifestyle of where doing drugs, just everything bad, okay? And he's on the street. He has nothing, okay? But he laid a guilt trip on his 18-year-old son and said, you're living in luxury. You're doing all this. And so when Danielle returned back to school, Danielle returned feeling very, very guilty. And just all of a sudden, one day he said, I'm not going to study anymore. I'm going to go back and help my dad. So please, Danielle quit his studies. He's back. They live about 6 hours or so from the school. But we don't believe he can help his dad. But, God can do various things. And so, but keep Danielle in his prayers as he's going back now, that he doesn't get discouraged and doesn't leave the church, but he'll continue to be strong. And here's the students in their class, and this just took a picture there because we got a little new addition. Hedson, one of our staff members, him and his wife just welcomed a new baby boy. You can be a part of this ministry, and some of you are, where you can adopt a student, $50 a month. On the table, what do you say foyer or foyer here? Foyer? Okay, I want to say the right thing because I'm always getting corrected. And normally I just say the room in the back, okay? But there's a table back there. It has some brochures on it. It tells you how you can be a part of the work there like that. But also, there are little coin purses. There's some ink pens. There's some bookmarks and things like that. Please take those items, okay? Please take them and use them. As you use them, let it just remind you to pray for your missionaries in Guatemala. But those items are on the back, and if you don't take them, I have to take them back with me to Guatemala, which means I can't buy Cool Whip and take back to Guatemala, okay? So if you want to prevent me from doing that, don't take that, and then I'll starve to death in Guatemala, okay? That's up to you. You can make that decision. No, take those items and let it remind you to pray for us. Future Preachers Camp, I mentioned that, and that's boys. Okay, and we had our 8th camp. Byron's youngest son turned 12. So he's been thinking about this for like 5 years now. And so now this was his first year to be able to be a part of the camp. Byron directed the camp, and each day they get good instruction from various speakers, and they learn how to baptize, they learn public speaking, they learn public reading of the Word. Our goal is to try to encourage them to be full-time workers in the kingdom. And so they have various activities as well. So here they are, and then on Sunday, I see my time is running out, so I'm going a little bit faster here. Even at that camp, we had a young man, Hedson, decided to be immersed into Christ. Sunday morning, 2 of the guys who are already Christians, they are selected from their peers and from their teachers to actually preach the worship service. And Linda Vista, again, they rent a bus and go to the campground. And so imagine you've never preached, you've never taught, your first audience is about 200 people, okay? Yeah, and so, but they did a super job there. And so here they are at the end of the camp with some presentations being made to the teachers, the students, the counselors and all. And here the guys are all dressed up there on Sunday morning. And so, Lord willing, next November, October or November 1, we'll be having another camp. We're involved in various activities. We have a Tuesday night Bible study going. Keep that in your prayers. Our goal is to separate from Linda Vista and actually start a congregation in our area. But with everything that's going on with Brother Walter, him leaving and all, we found the need to stay at Linda Vista for a little bit. But we continue with our Tuesday night Bible study closer to our home, and that's going well. We're involved in campaigns and stuff all over the Guatemala area, youth conferences and things like that, workshops. And we even come to the States and do gospel meetings. We did one in Henderson, Tennessee last September. And so there we were preaching there. We go to Germany and have an opportunity to work with a retreat there, and our main goal is working with the teenagers, and that went very well for us this year there in Rothenburg, Germany. Just to close with a few additions to the family. Chelsea, Elmer is baptizing his oldest daughter. We don't have elders in Linda Vista. We're working toward that, though. And so we're seeing a lot of our young men grow up, being faithful and all. And I think once it's time for elders, the Lord blesses us with that. Elmer will be in that first group. You remember Dearly that I've mentioned 2 or 3 times? There she is. And she obeyed the gospel. And so she's being baptized in Zone 7. But as a result of Dearly, she also touched her sister, her brother-in-law. They started studying, and they were baptized as well, so keep them in your prayers. Juan de Dios is baptizing his grandson, Alejandro, and so things are just really, really overall going well there in Guatemala. So here's what they say. Here's your mission team. That's myself, Byron, his lovely wife, Nashana, and their 2 boys, Alex and Jose, and they all send their greetings to you, and they also send their thanks to you for being a part of our work in Guatemala. And Lord willing, this year will be the year that some of you will come and be with us, and we'd love to have you there starting in March. July is an opportunity, August is an opportunity, and any other time as well. Before I close, any questions concerning the work in Guatemala?
What's the charismatic movement?
What's that?
You had mentioned the charismatic movement.
Mm-hmm. The charismatic movement is where they believe that you're not a Christian unless you speak in tongues. You're not a Christian unless you've had an experience of somebody laying their hands on you. You've had some kind of miraculous encounter. But the tongues, the laying on of hands, the miracles, that's a big part. Also a big part of their religion is the prosperity gospel. And that's if you give to me, God's going to give to you. Some of our richest people in Guatemala are charismatic movement preachers. And that's because they have big congregations that really give money to them. And but that's a summary of what that movement is. Yeah. Anything else? All righty. Thank you so much again for being part of the work in Guatemala. Keep us in your prayers. We keep you in our prayers. We love you. And if you have any questions, I'm going to be around. Don't forget the things in the back of the room. And just look forward to continuing to work together for the Lord. God bless you.